just adjusted my laptop, and we went live. So, oh god, I'm going to burp the whole way through this. As yep, something ain't sitting right. Hopefully, it won't have too much impact on the live stream. No promises, at all about how gross my burps might get, because they just do. Ask anyone in my household. I like to really make an event of burps, and try and say sentences while I burp. Actually, saying I'm not live on YouTube yet. I know sometimes the start is a little bit glitchy. It's probably only a little bit of lag. Hey, Kirsten, how are you? Yeah, it's the problem with the cross-platform streaming that you don't always have things sync up. Yes, Peter, we may be in for Burpfest 2020. And hello to you, Annette. Nice to see everyone this evening. I don't know if we're going to see an AIDSy man. It's been radio silence from him since halfway through yesterday. And I don't know what that means. I like to hope that it means he's getting some sleep. And he's a bit out. Kirsten, Gin Palace convinced you to get a martini. Nice. Hello, Catherine, and now Aussie Gun Bunnies on YouTube after a short delay with the YouTube stream. Kirsten and I are watching a Facebook stream. The usual Applewood Distillery one was in the Gin Palace, which is a pretty bloody amazing place in Melbourne. And oh my god, the martini she talked about a perfect martini, which is traditionally 1 part gin, 1 part sweet vermouth, 1 part dry vermouth. But she's like, no, I was making a big fucking martini, so I think it was 60 mils or 70 mils, so 2 ounces of gin and 15 mils of sweet vermouth and 15 mils of dry vermouth. So very, very gin heavy martini. Lots of martinis are. And hello, Invisible Chicken. It's been a little while since I've been to Gin Palace. I did go with some friends a while back. God, it might even be years. I don't know. It's so hard keeping trouble of things. Because she had about not being able to go to the Gin Palace for World Gin Day. When is World Gin Day? That's an excuse to make some martinis, although I just made a martini video. No reason. Got my back scratcher. Best $3 I've ever bought. Ooh, get those bits right down the middle that I can't reach. Little metal fingers. It's very good. Really gauche doing it in front of you. 13th of June. Okay. I have to decide what gin cocktails to do for the 13th of June. So that is next weekend. Okay, so that's for next week. Well, that answers my question of at least one video to do next week. Got to do a gin one, maybe a martini, maybe something else. I got a little bit of time, got about a week to think of what to do for today. Although I might make the video on Friday night, do a formal Friday, dress up in my cocktail channel shirt and tie, and make some gin cocktails on Friday night. So I have all my Australian gins now. I have the 3 from Tiny Bear, and I got my homegrowny kit from Applewood today. Came in the mail. Well, no, I ordered it on Friday, and it came today. That's not bad. They set the order up on Monday, and it arrived on Wednesday. That's not bad. So I've got 4 Australian gins now. all with their own character. Well, speaking of buying Australian, like I said, I was going to buy an Australian whiskey when I use up my Jim Beam bourbon, which will still be a little while. There's still a whack of it left. But I finished my Cointreau, and I was going to get an Australian equivalent to replace it. I haven't decided what that will be yet. I'm sure I know of at least one Australian Curacao. I'm sure there's more than one, in fact. So, so I might buy Australian for that as well, an Australian replacement for my Cointreau. Because it's good to have. I mean, I've got a blood orange liqueur, an Italian blood orange liqueur, but it's good to have an orange liqueur for cocktail making. It's a good flavor to have in there. So I'll have to look into that. Yes, it was Marionette that I was thinking of getting, Kirsten. Justin, I haven't watched any of that live stream today. I have been too busy to watch any videos, in fact. And I was probably daunted that you said it was like 4 hours or 5 hours of something. But I thank you for sharing that link with me. I'll try and catch some of it. What's the other one you think, Kirsten? Knocklofty. Knocklofty. Gotta love that as a name. Knocklofty. I find if I search Lofty. Knocklofty, there you go. They make a gin. Everyone seems to make a gin. Knocklofty Spirits, hand-produced by 3 couples at a home-based micro-distillery in the foothills of Knocklofty in West Hobart, Tasmania. Okay, Knocklofty is a place. And it's a grain-free spirit. That's interesting. I wonder what the base is, if it's not a grain spirit. Products. Pen gin, garden gin with fruit and berries, juniper gin, dark carvey, an exquisite liqueur developed in collaboration with Villeneuve coffee roasters. Okay, it's a coffee liqueur. So we fucked that off. Knocklofty lime liqueur. There we're getting into territory that I like. For the inquisitive, citrus-loving drinker. See, that's getting into an area that I'd be interested. Knocklofty vodka. Okay, and they have an orange liqueur. So they have a lime liqueur. No. They just call it O. And a raspberry garden gin. And they have little tasters as well. A liqueur pack, a mere $35. Okay, because they're only 50ml bottles. So that's lime, orange, and dark carvey. And I'm not going to like the... not going to like the coffee one anyway, because I don't like coffee. Oh, that's cute. They do it in the different sizes, from 50 mils to 200 mils to 700 mils. So $11 for the little sampler of a 50 mil, $33 for a 200 mils, and $85 for 700 mils. Clearly much better value getting the 700 mils. But anyway, I don't know. I'm not going to rush out and get that. Okay. Oh, it's a great base. Okay, thank you. Cool. Hey, Lucas Tripper, how you going? Being a geeky pig. Oh gosh, you actually volunteering. Look, noble work, my friend. You've volunteered for an experimental vaccine. I have heard a couple of the vaccines have side effects in some people that usually go away pretty quickly, but they're not great. And you can't mass release something that has that sort of thing. Oh, okay, you met those folk in Tasmania at a chin festival called January, which sounds like a New Zealander saying January. Yeah, I mean, Knocklofty have me interested with a lime liqueur because that's unusual, and I like lime. So gotta stop. I've actually been more responsible than I left because I may have mentioned on other live streams. In fact, I think just last night we might have been talking about it. That I have like a ledger, a spreadsheet where I'm keeping track of the boozes that I buy and how long they last. In fact, only one of them has been finished since I started the ledger in February, and that was just vermouth anyway. Justin, you're right. Actually, that is a good point. Lots of vaccines, particularly for the tropical diseases, do have short-term side effects. Last time I went to the tropics was going to the Philippines, had to get a fucking plethora of vaccinations, yellow fever and a few tropical diseases. And I was a bit iffy the next day. It passed after that, but yeah, I was a bit iffy the next day. But those are voluntary. Most of those ones that have short-term side effects, they're voluntary vaccines rather than ideally everyone should take this vaccine. And if we get an effective vaccine for the coronavirus, well, for COVID-19 specifically, actually that's because coronavirus, whatever the scientific name they're giving it, that's the virus. COVID-19 is the illness, much as HIV is a virus and AIDS is an illness. So technically speaking, are we vaccinating? I suppose we're vaccinating against the virus rather than the illness. Things to ponder. Things to ponder. I think you would not get good acceptance or take up of a flu vaccination that was meant for everyone if a sizable chunk of the population had a bad side effect that lasted for a day or two. I think that would cause a bit of consternation. I think they really want a vaccine that has the absolute minimum of side effects. Let's go to your January weekend. Only bought 11 bottles of gin. Holy cow. Thanks, Justin. Yes, that's the technical name, SARS-CoV-2. Yeah. So that's the virus that we'd be vaccinating against. Yes. So, I mean, we live in such stupid fucking times with anti-vaxxers getting a hold of people's imaginations and the ridiculous conspiracies that are swirling around with the coronavirus and whatnot, and that, you know, it's all some George Soros, Bill Gates plot to implant us with microchips, and it's just like, oh, fucking okay. Ugh. Glad you're all good, Locust Trooper, and honestly, fucking good on you taking part in the trial, because it's obviously incredibly important, and it's not without risk going in a vaccine trial. So you're doing good work. That's good. Visible Chicken, you were talking to a doctor who was saying HPV vaccination has been seen to reduce the risk of a variety of other cancers more than expected. Well, that's good. HPV was a great vaccination. Human papillovirus, I think that is, protects you against a sexually transmitted infection that causes cancer. And you had some fucking weirdo religious fuckheads in Australia and America arguing against it because they said, well, it'll generate promiscuity because they think they won't get sick if they have sex. It's like, you are fucking evil and deserve to burn in hell. Oh, Kirsten, you generally have a bad reaction to flu vaccines. Just nap the whole weekend. Yeah, I've never had a bad reaction to flu vax. I had it this year. I don't know, a month or so ago. I don't get it every year. I did get it last year. I'm trying because it's usually where I'm working somewhere where they're going, "Hey, we're doing flu vaccinations at work," and I'm going, "Yeehaw, free flu vax." I don't get it every year because it's not always often where I work, and I'm fucking slack, and I just want it for free. Locust Trip, you got people that's trying to scare you. You're going to get the autism from a vaccination. Justin, why didn't they just call the disease SARS-2? I don't know. Who knows why epidemiologists and scientists make the decisions they do? We're going to say I'm sure they have a good reason, but honestly, I don't think they always do have a good reason. They just have a reason. They make a decision, and they do it. Yeah, I think in general, a bad reaction, although they always make you wait. I don't know if you've noticed this. If you get a flu vaccination, they say, we want you to just sit there and wait 15 minutes to see if you have a bad reaction to it, because a certain percentage of the population does have a bad reaction to it. Kirsty, you got whiskey and a lollipop. I've got lollipops for getting my vaccination. I've never been anywhere, a workplace cool enough to get bribed with whiskey to get a vaccination. I'm very much in favor of that. I'm going to show you. I got a package in the mail today. I was referring from the Applewood Distillery, their homegrown kit. And there's a T-shirt in it, which I think was a bonus, with the dad joke sort of Negroni with attitude. But it is size small, which if you know me at all, you know is not my size. So I don't know who's scoring that. Young Ms. Angry says it would be too big for her. She thinks it might fit young Mr. Angry, but he's quite tall, so it might be too short. She thinks slim body-wise he'd be fine, but it might be too short. I don't know, maybe he wants to wear it as a crop top. Who knows? We'll see. Invisible Chicken, you and your mum got flu vax last 2 years. Dad got it this year. You weren't told to wait. Okay, my experience is being told to just sit and wait. Actually, now I say it, yeah, I don't think that's happened universally for me either. I think it varies from place to place if they're being extra cautious and say, just sit there for 15 minutes and make sure you're okay. Yeah, I was at Vic Uni last year, and I don't think they did it there. Yeah, I don't think so. So, there you go. So, yes, I think it varies from place to place if they want to be overly cautious and make you wait and see if you have a bad reaction. Tell you what, there is a real temptation to check out that Knocklofty lime liqueur, because that sounds unique. But I'm not going to rush to get it. Yeah, no, I'm not going to rush to get that. Yeah, Mary on it's liqueur. Arianet.com.au. Ooh, free delivery. Okay, you had me at free delivery. So, ooh, they do a whiskey pack, Godfather pack. They do a peach liqueur, peach iced tea pack, apricot brandy, myrrh, which I actually have, amaretto, which I don't need, dry cassis, there you go, orange curacao, Brogan's Way, Marinette passion fruit gin liqueur. Ugh. And the strawberry spice gin. Geez, they're a bit bloody... Oh, they make chocolates too by the looks of it. Yeah, there you go. It's all very tempting. Kirsten, if I tell Henry he'll swap it to the right size, yeah, he probably would. Justin, you think there'll be a big rush when the vaccine becomes available? Probably. Locust Trooper, there's a good Vietnamese place in Deer Park. That's a ways away from me now. My ex-in-laws live out Deer Park way, but I'm the other side of town. There's a place does good Vietnamese rolls actually just down the shops down where I'm not hugely into the Vietnamese rolls. My offspring are, but yeah. Okay, Kirsten, you're a big fan of the passion fruit gin liqueur. Okay. Oh, Justin, you got your Donald Trump check. Nice. Okay, so how... oh, they got some cocktail recipes on here, which is nice. An apricot sour, apricot brandy liqueur with bourbon, lemon juice, bit of sugar syrup. Okay, so yeah, just a whiskey sour with their apricot brandy liqueur. Oranges, a white lady, orange curacao, gin, lemon juice, sugar syrup. Yep, white lady is a good drink. Sidecar, my all-time fave, one of my faves. Whiskey sour and sidecar are my faves. So the orange curacao, brandy, lemon juice, sugar syrup, nice and simple. A fancy whiskey highball, curacao, whiskey, topped with soda. That would be a really nice drink, actually. Just a little refreshing drink. Very interesting. So I'm going to check how much are the drinks from Marionette. Apricot brandy. Yeah. I just love... I don't know why I insist on saying Muir stupidly, but... $52 for the curacao. $63.50 for the passion fruit gin liqueur. There you go. Nice, you got your 1,200, Justin. Excellent. Yeah, took the money. So, well, it's not from him. It's trying to keep money circulating in the economy. Okay. Oh, this one I'll look up. Bitters Lab. Bitters Lab. Shop online. Products. Cocktail syrups, liqueurs. I suppose I'm looking for liqueurs. Amaro, Montenegro. Mac. I've still got, well, not plenty, but I've still got Mac. Gameldansk. That's such a good name. Gameldansk. Bitte Dram. Here we go. They have Marionette as well. Apricot brandy liqueur, $51.95. Amaretto liqueur, $51.95. Apricot brandy, dry cassis liqueur, Cathel liqueur, Mia liqueur, orange curacao. There we go, 51. What price is it from these guys? Oh, same price. Okay, cool. So I might get that. Yes. All right. I need to stop looking at booze online, really. Oh, Justin, your family's from Illinois. Cool. Okay, that's I need to stop randomly browsing websites. And have a drink for Eddie Mabo on Mabo Day. For those unfamiliar, it's got to do with a landmark legal case in Australia. Eddie Mabo was a Torres Strait Islander who was a land rights campaigner, and his work led to decision from the High Court of Australia, June 3rd, 1992, that overturned the legal fiction of terra nullius, which is what the British Crown had said entitled them to take possession of Australia. There's no one here. No one was using it. Actually, not regarding Indigenous Australians as people, and saying, hey, there's no one here. They're not using it. It's fine. That's why there's no legal complication with us colonizing here. And yeah, it was not until 1992 that the High Court went, that is so fucking stupid. That makes no sense. There were obviously people here. So yes, as started by Eddie Mabo's work. So 3rd June, commemorating that High Court decision, known as Mabo Day, which is a pretty significant date in Australia. Invisible Chicken, your law study says the case has been criticised for baby steps. I mean, you look at Australia's history and it's pretty fucking gross. White Australia's history. Yeah, well, Kirsten, definitely gonna sometime soon, because make homegrownies. Actually, I should just do a taste test, because I haven't even tasted. I got the things today. I'll do a taste test. It's a neat little package. I'll show you. They're just over here. No. So this is what I have. Here's my little postcard from OCART for Homegrowny Week. So the staples of a Negroni, gin, is Applewood gin. What's this? 43 ABV, so a slightly strong gin. Now this is their bitter. This is like the Campari replacement, which I'm happy about because I hate Campari. It's only 24 ABV. These are traditional. And then this is so limited edition, it doesn't even have a label. This is the vermouth, Unico Yuzu Sweet Vermouth, 16% ABV. So, and I've got these neat bottles. I will be keeping these bottles when I have drunkard the things that are in it. Justin, doesn't match US history. I don't know, mate. We give it a red hot fucking go. I'll tell you that for free. Locust Ripper almost finished building the house we were talking about you buying. That's some good news, because that can be a real trial, building a house. This is like faux wax. I think that's actually plastic that this is sealed in. I have to get it off. Yeah, it's definitely not wax. Oh God, I'm gonna need a knife. I'm gonna need a knife or something to get this off. Because it's just not gonna. Yeah, no, I'm gonna need a knife, and I'll probably fucking lacerate it. You get to see me bleed everywhere. Yeah, these are cute little bottles. I will be keeping these bottles. Was it like 2 cocktails? How many mils does this hold? 200 mils. It's like 3 cocktails. I could. It'd be good for gifts. Could pre-make like 3 cocktails. Kirsten, you reckon it's real wax? Fucking, it's behaving like plastic. It's not behaving like any wax I've ever seen. Really not behaving like wax. It's some mutant super wax. If it's wax, I'm going to need a knife. I'll probably lacerate myself, and you'll get to see me bleed to death on live stream. Yep, got a knife. It's bottling wax. You need a knife. Yes, I do need a knife. Good job. There we go. That seems to have breached it. I'm trying to be really careful because I am so fucking accident prone with knives. I like really seriously lacerated myself at work a couple years ago. Got me a bad reputation. They had to fill in a safety report about me slashing my finger in the kitchen. Safety off. Oh, there we go. There we go. Okay. Now I actually cut it with a knife. It is behaving a bit more like wax, but okay. Got the wax off. Okay. So unseal that one, unseal that one. So going to taste just a little sippy of each of these. Now I think the bitter is probably going to be the most overpowering, so I'll have it last. I'll try the vermouth first. They describe the flavors. So these are the ingredients for an Oka Negroni. Yeah, just 30 mils of each. I'm also going to make a white Negroni. Oh, it smells really good. Really fruity. Kind of, it's almost like a black currant smell in there. That's right, Kirsten. Maker's Mark proudly talk about how all the bottles are hand dipped. Really nice, fruity but light aroma on the vermouth. Wow, that's good. Oh, it's like grape juice and berries. Wow, that is really good. That is a really good vermouth. I never used to be into vermouths, and I discovered Australian vermouths, and there's some really good ones. No, that vermouth is really good. Okay, maybe I should do the professional thing. I'm going to get a thing of water and rinse my mouth between each of them. Just get me a glass. Ugh. And some water. A little bit of water. Rinsey. Okay, now I'll try the gin. How do they describe it? A sample of our Australian gin, a botanical rich profile of rare desert limes, native wattle seed, aromatic peppermint gum leaf among 20 fresh and sustainably farmed ingredients. Handcrafted to reflect the sites and soils we belong to, for the lifestyle and culture we enjoy in Australia. They have a really nice tagline on their product, from the land we belong to, which I really like. Hey, Safa, how are you? Ooh, Kirsten, last time you went to Bad Frankie's, they shared you a really amazing vermouth. I'd be up for that. Yep, that kind of smells like gin, although it's kind of unique. What are they saying is in there? Desert lime, wattle seed, aromatic. I think I can smell the peppermint. Gum leaf. Reminds me of home, growing up in the country. Whew. That really puts a few different flavors in your mouth, that one. It's a little bit peppery, like in a good way. Feels very warm going down, 43% alcohol. Yeah. Oh, nice. I've had some minestrone soup. Nice. I had a pizza. I got. They actually called it a chicken parma pizza. There's little bits of crumbed chicken and bits of ham and little cherry tomatoes on it. I wouldn't get it again. I actually got it just because it was on sale. It was very cheap, and that's what I do when I'm shopping. I buy things that are on special. But it was food. It was okay. Well, you want to get the vermouth they gave you at Bad Frankie's. Oh, and they have it at the Bitters Lab. Okay. Now, this is their bitter. Doesn't have a very distinctive aroma to it. What do they say on here? Handcrafted from botanicals native to the coastal rainforest of Australia, this fine bitter is a supreme example of rare native rye berries, fresh Davidson plums, and aromatic strawberry gum leaf. And they've got a QR code thing. Oh, and they call this a portable pocket rocket of island vibes. Nice. Crafted in small batches among the pristine Adelaide Hills, showcasing a unique expression of the sunburnt country we belong to. Like, Shrooper, what's on the cocktail menu? I don't know if I'll probably make a cocktail. I don't know. But I'm just doing very sippy taste tests of these. Greg, good evening to you, sir. So does the White House ever turn its light off unless it's an emergency? It does when there's a whiny little bitch in the White House, Safa. That's when they switch off the lights. So Prince Wine Store, Shop Index.com, looking at fortified wine, Philip Lobley, the Mystic Vermouth. Okay. James, how tough is the US? Very, very. How fucked is it? Very. Okay, I'm going to try this bitter. Oh, man, the flavors as that goes down. I mean, the lasting thing is unsurprisingly the bitterness, but there's a lot of sort of fruity flavors in there as well. I'm not into drinking Amari straight. It was really just a taste test. Looking forward to putting it in a drink, though. Okay, so you're saying that Mystic Vermouth is very earthy and fruity. I like the sound of that. Seeing if I can find it. What's it called? The 45. Okay, maybe if I go on Facebook, I might actually be able to follow that link. I can't from. Okay, yes, I think I can follow it from Facebook. There we go. Can't do it from StreamYard. Philip Lobley, the Mystic Vermouth. Based on the Philip Lobley 2016 barrel fermented Sauvignon Blanc with wormwood, kumquat, yellow grapefruit, rosemary, ginger, lemongrass, star anise, cinnamon, lavender, passion fruit, white pepper, thyme, sage, clove, fennel seed, cardamom, bay, nutmeg, Vietnamese mint, and vanilla. Holy cow, they've jammed everything in there. Wowzers. Only 600 litres made. Okay. They seem to have really piled stuff on in there. Sounds very interesting anyway. Oh, the Okar's earthy and fruity. Yes. Husband hates Okar. I would not. Oh, that's the vermouth. They're the same color. I would not drink it straight, like probably not even over ice. But no, okay. Why don't I even make the Negroni now? It's really simple. If I can mix it in the glass for that matter. Look, just for a laugh, I'm going to put it in completely the wrong glass. I'm going to put it in my tiki mug and I haven't used my Death Star ice yet. I want to see what that looks like. I'm going to put a Death Star ice ball in it. So, okay. Tiki mug. Death Star ice mold. All right, let's go. Alrighty, 1 Death Star in my glass. You won't be able to see any Death Star detail on video. Can I? In real life? Oh yeah, no, it's actually got Death Star patterning on the ice cube, ice ball. You wouldn't be able to see it in here. Oh, Megaly, trying to call with a bro. All right, look forward to see you after. Music area, you're doing a flight sim stream as well. Okay, so I'm just going to build this in the glass because it's really simple. It's just 30 mils of each of them. So you see there's a little ball of ice in there. Does actually have Death Star patterning on it. But it's too subtle for you to be able to see on the stream, I think. Annette, I got a Death Star ice maker from the Bitters Lab in Fitzroy, where I get a lot of stuff from. Okay, so we just got 30 mils of gin. This is not a particularly alcohol-heavy drink. Gin's full strength, but the Amaro and the vermouth are much lower. How you feeling, Silla? That satisfying cork pop. Another reason I'm keeping these bottles. Okay, 30 mils of the Amaro. Oh, God, it's so red. It is so red. Blood red. And the vermouth. So how often do I go outside the pandemic? I went to the supermarket today. I tend to go to the supermarket a couple times a week, and I often go for a walk in the park with Mrs. Angry. And that is basically it. I have not been doing much interaction with humans. But the supermarket's it, so I'll just stir my little Death Star ice ball in there, chill it. That has quickly worn away the Death Star markings on my ice ball. You can see it's a great color. I'm going to have to do a milk clarified one of these too. Yeah, like there's a park. There's a decent walk. Like I don't know, it's about 2 kilometers. Go for about a 2 kilometer walk. Really leisurely. Mrs. Angry tends to do it in the morning and the afternoon. I tend to only do it in the afternoon because I start working earlier than her. Oh, yeah, that works. Whoa. Oh, yeah, better than Campari. God, you're having a drink with this, though. The Okar bitter is really to let you know, hey, yeah, you're imbibing here. It's quite strong bitter flavor. You have to have the taste for bitterness. I'm not really into bitter because of most people say gin is essentially a bitter drink in a very light way. Yeah, I think you might be right, Kirsten. Dialing back the Okar a little, 20 to 25 mils, I can go with that. So, yeah, so an all-Australian drink for Mabo Day. Okar bitter, applewood gin, and was it again? Unico Yuzu sweet vermouth. I'm going to do a milk clarified one of these too. Oh no, feeling sealer. Listen, Glenn, pandemic, brush your teeth before putting on and use mouthwash as well. Oh no, your own breath was too much for you. God, oh, that's harsh. That is harsh right there. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not super into really bitter things. So I think, Kirsten, you're on the money. Dialing back the ochre a bit would be a good call. I think when I make a video, I'll make it with 20 mils ochre. But I think for a milk clarified, see, with a milk clarified one, I was thinking because for milk clarification to work, it needs some acid content. And while there's botanicals and fruits and stuff in particularly the vermouth and the Amaro, it's probably not enough. So I was thinking to do a milk clarified one, you're going to have to add a little bit of lemon juice or maybe grapefruit juice. Probably wouldn't, once you milk clarified, it wouldn't change the flavor profile that much. But what I could do, and this, because I love to experiment, I could just put citric acid in because we have some for cooking. So rather than actually putting lemon juice or grapefruit juice or pineapple juice in, I could actually just put a little bit of citric acid in, and that should work. That should work. So do I want to do that video? Do I want to do it now? Oh, choices. Locust Trooper, when you had a friend in Caulfield, used to walk around Prince's Park. That's not the area that I live in, but yes, Prince Park is a pretty good walk, definitely. I think a lot of people like the racetrack. I think you can go into the racetrack, and there's a full grassy area on the inside. I don't know for sure because I haven't done it, but I heard that you could actually go and like have picnics on the grassy bit in the middle of the Caulfield racetrack. That could be wrong. But yeah, I mean, there are a couple parks in different directions here. So kind of spoiled for choice, but like to get out in the world a little bit. So is racing still going? I don't know. I haven't been paying any attention. It was called off at some point. I don't know what's happening. Of course, they can't have crowds at the racing. I don't know if the rules are relaxed enough to have, jockeys together for a race now. Yeah, they definitely would have wanted to get that back in full swing in time for the spring racing carnival, because just that couple of months is when they make half their money for the year. Remains to be seen. I guess we could stay hopeful that the relaxation of distancing rules won't result in a significant increase in COVID cases in Australia. We stand a good chance of it going well. I have to admit, and I think Kirsten will identify with this, watching these live streams on Facebook for the Applewood Distillery, and people are always talking about the bars they like and what. I was like, oh my God, yeah, when things are a bit more open and places can operate as usual, I feel I feel the urge to do a bit of a bar crawl in Melbourne. That will probably be a couple months off, but yeah, the more I sort of see people talking about this bar or that bar or this moment, I'm like, yeah, I really want to do a bar crawl in Melbourne. So which public holiday is better, Melbourne Cup or the AFL Parade Day? I don't really pay attention to either of the events. The AFL Grand Final holiday is better because it's a long weekend, and the Melbourne Cup's actually on a Tuesday. So the holiday is on a Tuesday, which sucks. And so half of Melbourne takes Monday off as well, like takes annual leave on Monday to get a 4-day weekend. So I like the football grand final public holiday because that's on a Friday, and that gives you a long weekend, which is always better. It's always better. So This is rather blood red drink, isn't it? Very spectacular color. Kirsten love a 4-day. Who doesn't love a 4-day weekend? Just feels like it stretches out forever. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna. When I make this again, I'm going to definitely cut back on the ochre. I think anyone who likes a Negroni, like with Campari, is really going to like this. I can't sort of come at Campari at all. It's too bitter for me. Yeah, I think anyone who likes a Campari with Negroni, a Negroni with Campari, would really like this. Just the fruity flavors and all the different botanicals they've got in here. Ooh, you've got a 4-day weekend this weekend. Lucky you. Spending Friday making cocktails with a friend. Excellent way to spend a Friday. Excellent. I'll probably do that on a live stream on Friday. I think that's when I might make my Negroni videos. Homegrowny, all Australian content. So I'm going to make one with these Applewood products. So basically this one again. I'm going to make a white Negroni. There's Ochre Gold, one of the Tiny Bear Distillery gins, and a white vermouth, Australian vermouth that I have in the fridge. It's a sweet vermouth. So that's going to be a much lighter drink. And then I'm going to make one of these and milk clarify it. Eddie, late from the gym, dealing with Opie, your cat, being a psycho. Yeah. My cats aren't psychos. A big problem I have, as I've mentioned multiple times, during the day, not now, when everyone would like to see her, but during the day when I'm sitting just over there at my laptop, Mimsy likes to jump up and sit on my lap. She's just really into it. And nowhere else in the house is she so keen to jump on my lap. But sitting there, yep, she's just like, oh, that's great. I want to sit there. And just ba-chunk. So I like at the moment I'm wearing jeans. I don't like it when I'm wearing lighter pants because she occasionally does claws out to get purchase and pull herself up to where she wants to be. And she's done that when I was wearing lighter pants. And the claws went right in. I was not impressed. These jeans are tough enough that her claws don't go through them. But yeah, she really just sort of not good. Not good at all. No. Addie, poor Opie is not happy with you disappearing and going to the gym. Oh, spoiled cat. Wanted you around all the time. Safa, did we get frost here? Very rarely. Melbourne sometimes gets frost, but it's very, very rare. The outer suburbs get it more. More inner suburbs where I live, it's very, very rare. And also because I'm not that far from the bay, and I think the humidity from the bay makes frost less likely as well. Does happen sometimes, but it's very rare. Whereas, where I grew up in Dubbo and then went to college in Bathurst, really severe frost was absolutely normal in winter. Very, very, very cold, crisp mornings. Dubbo, just because you're out on the plains, there's nothing holds the heat in winter. So you get very crisp mornings. Bathurst, because it was in the mountains, you can get fucking cold all day. So yes, I grew up with quite full-on frosts, but for Melbourne, they are relatively rare where I am. Oh yeah, like a strip of Ballarat, get frost and snow. But yeah, because you're not quite in high country with Ballarat, but you're not that far off it. Yeah, the rural areas of Victoria get really fucking cold winters, and yes, and of course, getting high country, they get snow all the time. But even areas like Ballarat that aren't actually high country will get snow from time to time because, see, God, the more I'm tempted because I'm definitely going to do a milk clarified Oka Negroni. And it's going to take some time. And I don't know whether to do it early. I think I want to do it tonight. Maybe tomorrow night. Do the milk clarified one. What's the weather for the rest of this week? Tomorrow, 14, but no rain, a low of 6. Okay, that's going to be cold in the morning. Friday, 5 in the morning. And 14 again, maybe some rain. Oh, it's going to rain on the weekend. 7 and 13, 70% likely rain. Well. But not much, 0 to 2 millimeters. Cloudy morning fog, medium chance of showers, light winds. Not great, though. What's Sunday? 0 to 1. So only a really small amount of rain, fog, slight showers. No, maybe it's not going to be that bad. Sarah, is the US collapsing? It's not looking healthy. It is not looking healthy. Not at all. Like, the police are fucking out of control. And it's escalating what's happened in the US. And look, it's one thing for the protesters to get attacked by the cops. That's just a thing cops do. It's wrong, it's criminal, and they should be punished for it. They're not going to be, but that's bad and terrible, but also expected and has happened before and will happen again. The random wild card in this is the right-wing nut jobs in America, because they fall into two camps. One is, how dare you dirty liberals protest against this, the greatest country on earth, and disrespect our police. I'm going to get my gun and shoot you. But the other half of them are, cops are the oppressive tool of the state. We should shoot back. Let's start shooting cops. If that happens, and also, again, the militia types, in their rhetoric at least, are very opposed to the idea of the military being deployed against US citizens. And I think some of them are sincere and consistent in that belief. Some of them are just opportunists, but some of them are sincere and consistent. So with Trump accelerating things by pushing for an increased presence from the National Guard and military personnel, he doesn't seem to be taking into account these right-wing militia types who regard that idea of using military force against US citizens on US soil as absolutely unforgivable. And if they follow through on their threats, and they've been very, very open with their threats, if they follow through on their threats and open fire on the cops or the National Guard or whoever, shit's going to escalate real fast. Oh, I like that idea, Friller and Sealer. A chemist who loves making cocktails would probably make some interesting concoctions. They would probably be into, the chemical reactions, I think. Yes. Like Timothy McVeigh, he bombed the federal building because he said the federal government was the enemy of the people. He was a coward and a murderer who killed civilians, and he's an absolutely worthless piece of shit. But his given ideology was federal government bad. But there are lots and lots of Timothy McVeighs out there, and they have lots and lots of guns and other weaponry, and they've been very open about we are against the cops killing George Floyd. The cops are bastards. We should shoot back at the cops. And it's a little bit freaky to think of people like that running loose, but they're out there. Suffer is Australia obsessed with the US? Well, the US has such a huge influence on Australia. In many ways, policies of the US government can have a bigger effect on Australia than the policies of the Australian government. So when people tell me I'm obsessed with the US, it's going, well, you know, the US would stop fucking with the rest of the world, I'd probably talk about it less. Yeah. I like a trippy. You reckon the US is getting any bad karma for the shit they've done in the Middle East? Maybe. Kirsten, you're saying the head distiller at Tiny Bear is a chemistry teacher. And the co-head distiller of Antlergin has a PhD in chemistry. There you go. Looks like you were on absolutely the right track, Feely and Silo, that people with a good knowledge of chemistry do go into distilling. Yeah, Safo, I think the combination guns, anger, and free speech make it dangerous. Well, it's impossible to know what's going to happen. As unprecedented as these protests are, and they are different to ones that have happened before, they could just fizzle out. They could. That's possible. They could just fizzle out. They could get worse. Like I said, the right-wing militias could get involved. Right-wingers might shoot at protesters. Right-wingers might shoot at cops. It's really impossible to know. But the cops are acting like fucking psychopaths. There's just video after video after video of cops doing just wildly violent, out of scale things, just being punitive. Like, it's not about maintaining order. It's not about stopping, property damage. They are tear gassing and attacking and beating clearly peaceful protesters. They're fucking psychos. It's a good question, Alex Tripper. Would the US lose number one spot as most powerful economy? Do they hold that position? Let me do a quick Google search. Biggest economy. United States is the world's largest economy. Gross domestic product of approximately 20.5 trillion. Wikipedia's list of countries by GDP. China is, according to Wikipedia, has a GDP about 2/3 that of the US. It is not difficult to imagine US GDP collapsing and China's GDP accelerating. It's not hard to imagine that at all. Jesus fucking Christ. Sorry, I just had the news headlines open, and the Murdoch fucking racist right-wing shit rags. The Australian has a headline: George Floyd riots, the myth of systemic police racism in the US. Like, fucking hell, they are the scum of the fucking earth. Eddie, you're not attending a local protest because high risk of COVID. Yeah, I am not going to get in a large crowd at the moment. It's not a thing I'm going to do. You're trying to find out more about First Nations people here. Oh my God, over policing, deaths in custody is a fucking nightmare for Australian First Nations people. I'm just looking up that biggest economy thing again because I closed it. Because what were we saying? Locust Troop is saying India not far behind. India is actually an extremely long way behind. According to Wikipedia, a big disclaimer, they're saying US has a gross domestic product of 21.5 trillion. China has 14 trillion. Japan has 5.2 trillion. Germany has 3.9 trillion. India has 2.9 trillion. UK has 2.7 trillion. There you go. So India is actually a long way behind. They're the fifth biggest. Yeah, Sunday. The Murdoch press is the worst. Yes, you do get some cops calling out bad cops, but the Murdochs are just outdoing themselves with their absolute fuckery. Like I hate them so much. I hate them so much. Oh, I see, Eddie. You can do it part of your law degree. You can select topics, apply for placements, learn more. Good. It's more people should learn more, definitely. The Locust Trooper, the US debt clock. Yeah, but again, those are fictional numbers. I love that. The debt clock. It's a theoretical number. I mean, you can't actually owe the amount of money the US owes according to the debt clock. It's just international capitalism is a shell game. It's not real. Okay, I think I should get the debt clock. Let me go debt clock US. And why are you doing that to me? Debt clock, the true national debt. Dun dun dun. Truth in accounting. 25. I don't even know what number that is. USA debt clock there. So is the US debt clock accurate? Total, the US Treasury Department says the total public debt outstanding is 16.7 trillion. In reality, a completely accurate debt clock couldn't be constructed. Yeah, because it's an estimate, and so things, these people are saying, okay, million 20. This one's saying 25 trillion, but again, it's a made up number. You have to make so many assumptions, and there are so many moving parts. Whatever you say is a made up number. What does the worldometer say? Yeah, they say 25 trillion dollars. It's the counter. Okay, they've got like a real-time counter. It goes up $100,000 about every 2 seconds. It's really quite daunting to see stuff like, yeah, it goes up $100,000 about every 2 seconds. Looks a lordy. Just went up $1 million since I was talking to you. Oh gosh. Yeah, those are wild and crazy numbers. It's tough. How do you run a country with that debt? Because it's fictional. It's absolutely fictional. The whole international capitalism is to coin the term William Gibson used for cyberspace, it's a consensual hallucination. It only means anything because large groups of people agree that it means something, but it's not real. It just isn't. What's that? Are you saying social media only had to stop supporting one small business for bigotry? Yeah. Yeah, there are people out there. Oh, she was in the alternative witchy community, so she's had the backlash for being really closed-minded. Safi, yeah, Josh Freudenberg can't even pretend. I mean, when the LNP were going on about their balanced budget, they were lying. They were making that up. But now things have changed. They can't even convincingly lie, but they just say, oh, no balanced budget, but not our fault. How much debt does the US have? Well, like I said, it's a made-up number. You know, no matter what you say it is, it's not a debt in the sense someone can say, okay, empty out your pockets and pay me. It just doesn't work that way. It's this fiction that goes between countries. But the estimates are between... Oh, hello, Mimsy. What are you doing? Why do you want to come in here? I'll let you in. Mimsy's at the sliding door. Wait a sec. Come on, Mimsy. I'll let you in. In you come. You going to come and jump up on your tree? Say hello to her front? Or are you going to jump on my lap? Which of these two things are you going to do? No, she very rarely wants to come in here. Come on, where are you? Are you going to jump up on my lap? She's going to jump up on my lap. Are you? Or up here? There she goes, up here. There she goes. We'll just move the camera around so Mimsy can be the star. You want to be the star? Mimsy wants to be the star? It's a very long time since she's decided she wanted to come in here. Yes. Yes, Miss Mimsy. Miss Mimsy. So special guest Mimsy has arrived. Wants her scratches. Yes, she does. Funny cat. It's really interesting that she really... Oh, she's just forcing her head against me. She wants to be scratched. Wait a second. I'm going to do something so your face is not getting... Oh, wait a second. I know what to do. Brand minimal. There you go. What are you doing? You know that? That is a very weird pose you're doing, like a gargoyle. There you go. I'm going to say hello to the people. Say hello to the people. Yes. All right, I'm going to do this. OP settled in on Addie's lap. That's nice. But, yes. She's a funny cat, is Mimsy. The thing, trying to get people to understand the abstract concepts of money, because money is not real. Like we work on basically a shared hallucination. We basically all agree. We agree to believe the same things about money. Here she is. What do you got? Is there something over here? Oh, no. We agree to believe the same things about money, but it isn't real. You know, those little bits of plastic and metal that we have don't have intrinsic value. You know, we decided that the direct exchange of things of actual value was too difficult. So we started to develop signifiers, like a promissory note that said, okay, I promise that that when you call for it, I will give you 50 bushels of wheat. You don't want 50 bushels of wheat now, and I want some of your milk now. So I'm going to take your milk now and give you a promissory note that says, when you demand it, I'll give you 50 bushels of wheat. And the person goes, cool, I will want wheat later. But then what ended up happening is this person who's got the promissory note for the 50 bushels of wheat goes, ooh, Jesus, I need a new cow. Cow's worth 50 bushels of wheat. I'm going to go to this guy and say to go, look, will you give me a cow? I'll give you this promissory note from the wheat farmer. You get 50 bushels of wheat on demand with this. And I'll give that to you, and I'll get the cow. And so they swapped. And at a certain point, we changed from personal promissory notes, which are basically checks. Checks are, to a large extent, personal promissory notes, to the authority of the land saying, okay, here is a coin that is of a particular value. You can exchange that coin for things. And in original times, everything was backed by actual wealth. Like you couldn't have more money. The money was related to precious metals that were in a treasury, and you couldn't have more paper money, representations of your wealth, than you had actual wealth. As you sometimes hear people talking about the gold standard, countries' currencies used to be based on, we can issue this much currency because we have this much precious metal in storage that we can back the money with. And that was abandoned for just the concept of money. Basically, a government going, yeah, no, we're good for it. We're absolutely good for it. And so we exchange these totems. They're almost like religious icons. Go, ooh, this thing that says 20 on it has mystical power. It's $20. Okay. Works up until it doesn't. Places like Zimbabwe, when the economy collapsed and they were printing $500 trillion bills because no one trusted them having any money. So that's the literal accurate word. And as you say, it's a fetish. Like we've, in the vernacular, a fetish means, the thing you're kinky for, the sort of specialized thing in sex. But a fetish in religious terms is a representation of a god, like it's a statue. It is a fetish. But currency is a fetish for wealth. It's saying, hey, this thing, though in and of itself is not actually worth anything, this is a representation of worth that everyone has agreed to go along with. Maybe he's going for an explore. Are you going to come over here? Going to sit on my lap? Yes, she wants to sit on my lap. Hey, hello, everybody. So she wants to sit on my lap. That's okay. So currency is basically, we all agree to the same thing that is intrinsically meaningless. And it occasionally falls down, and you get hyperinflation in some countries. Their currency becomes worthless. That feelings here. How do we get the Star Trek economics where everyone's happy, no one's poor, everyone's equal? Would you be able to start that? There are some fundamental things in the Star Trek universe that don't hold up. Namely, they are still a hierarchy. See, with the starships, with the cities and everything, you've still got captains, you've still got admirals, you've still got the ruling class. someone's cleaning toilets, and I'm not sure they think. I'm not sure they think the system is as fair as the captain of a starship thinks it is. So there's more than a little bit of bullshit in the Star Trek universe with, ooh, no one needs money. We're not driven by that. And going, yeah, you're still driven by like power and hierarchy, though, aren't you? And privilege is all through it. Yeah, Invisible Chicken, post-World War II Germany, where they couldn't print money enough to keep up. Like, you needed a wheelbarrow full of money to buy a loaf of bread. And yeah, kids were playing with wads of cash because it was worthless. Like I say, in Zimbabwe, they printed $500 trillion bills. And then that bill, in terms of buying power, was still meaningless because people said, well, no matter what big number you put on it, the government can't back it. Like, no one was accepting Zimbabwean money. There was a black market of using foreign currency or barter. But like, it was punished. Mugabe tried to make it punishable by prison, I think, using American currency, but people did it anyway. So what was the German currency? I think it was the mark. I mean, it's the Deutschmark now, or it's the euro now. I think it was the mark around World War II. They called their currency the mark. Cat's crawling all over me, just out of camera shot. I'm going to go back up on her perch now. You can do that? Okay. You sit over there. Behave. You're rubbing her cheek on things. So yeah, the consensual hallucination of currency and exchange works so long as everyone agrees to it. But effectively, it works right up to the point it doesn't work anymore. And when it fails spectacularly. Oh, Kirsten, you got tripped out at US dollars coming out of an ATM in Cambodia. Yeah, well, sometimes it's just what people trust. They go, okay, the US is one of the stronger, more stable currencies in the world, tends to get accepted almost anywhere. But yeah, I can imagine that being a bit of culture shock, that the ATM spits out US dollars in Cambodia. Feeling silly. A Zimbabwean friend went home for Christmas, brought back a brand new $1 billion bill. Keep it in your wallet to make you smile when you're broke. That's excellent. There was a coin and stamp collecting place in Melbourne. At one point, you could get a whole set of the ridiculous denomination bills, and I think the highest one, and these weren't cheap bills. These were like the expensive plastic ones like we have in Australia. I think the highest denomination one was $500 trillion. And I think the Zimbabweans just called it dollars, which is, yeah, a very funny sort of totem. Oh, God, Safra, is the stock market an illusion? The stock market is a worse illusion than currency is. The stock market is bullshit. That's voodoo for economists. Oh, that's interesting, Kirsten. Beggars didn't want local currency. That doesn't really surprise me. The impeded debt's usually a good precursor to social unrest. Ooh, here we go. Recommending David Graeber's book, Debt, The First 5,000 Years. Yeah, you can do some very good academic studies on debt and currency and how it works and how it doesn't work. Bitcoin isn't legal tender in Australia. Learned that in commercial trade. Yeah, Bitcoin is a scam. It's absolutely useless for its stated purpose, which is a currency of exchange, because one Bitcoin is worth so much, and the value of it fluctuates so much. you know, I mean, how would you feel if, like, oh yeah, and I know someone who did this. You go, oh, I paid for my electricity bill with a Bitcoin, and 6 months later, because there was a bizarre boom in Bitcoin, that Bitcoin they paid their electricity bill with was worth, you know, 500 to 1,000 times more, and it's like, well, that's dumb, isn't it? All the cryptocurrencies just became a bizarre speculation boondoggle. Like, they're just such a fucking scam. And look, deep down, all currencies are a scam. All currencies are fictional. They're fraudulent, and they could collapse at any time. It's just the cryptocurrencies even more so. But yes, no, cryptocurrencies, complete bullshit, which is not to say, you know, people who bought and sold at the right time made millions and millions and millions of dollars. But cryptocurrencies just became a hype machine for fucking con men, grifters. Very, very. You had a few friends sell their Bitcoins in the spike so they could invest in more stable markets. And they invested as a joke 2 years before. Yeah, I mean, seriously, like, what was... while we're looking things up, Bitcoin price history. Okay, got a Bitcoin price chart. Oh, this is when it went the wildest. Looking at this list of the history of Bitcoin prices. Okay, 2011, Bitcoin started being a thing. No, where's the history? Okay. So initially, Bitcoin was essentially worth nothing. It was just users were mainly cryptography fans who were sending Bitcoins for hobby purposes, representing low or no value. In March 2010, users smoked too much, auctioned 10,000 Bitcoins for $50, but no one would buy them. In March 2010, it was worth 0.3 of 1 cent. In May 2010, it was still worth less than 1 cent. July 2010, it goes up to 8 cents in 5 days. And that's actually a 900% increase in 5 days. In October 2010, it's up to 12 cents. And February 2011, it hits $1 for the first time. So that is, in 2 years, it's gone from being worthless to being worth $1. Then June 2011, $31. Then it crashed, got to a low of $2 in December. 1 year after that was $13. And then it starts going crazy. 2013, it's up to $266. Then it crashed again, got down to $100. Then November, it went crazy again, went from $350 to $1,200. Then, because of the speculation, it crashed again in December to $600. Then in January, it was between $750 and $1,000. February 2014, it dropped again, $550 to $750. Another crash. dropped lower again in March 2014, dropped lower again in April 2014 down to $340, starts to pick back up again in May 2014, crashes again in March 2015 down to $200. By the end of 2015, it's gone back up to between $400 and $700, $500. Halfway through 2016, it gets to $750. Then it crashes again. Goes down to about $600. October 2016 goes up a bit to $780. January 2017, it spikes again to $1,100. Late January, it crashes again. March, it spikes again to $1,290. May, it spikes to $2,000. By June, it spiked over $3,000. By August, it's over $4,000. By September, it's over $5,000. Speculators cash out and it crashes to $2,900 in September. But October, it goes back up to $5,600 and then up to $6,000. November, it's gone to $7,000 to $8,000. Then December, it's gone absolutely crazy to $17,900. 17th December 2017 hits its highest ever at almost $20,000 for a Bitcoin. And then predictably it crashes again, goes down to 13,000, February 2018, 6,000, October 2018, 6,000, December 2018, 3,000. So it's really volatile. And you can still make money and you can lose a lot of money. Feeler and Sealer, bartering. Yeah, see, bartering has strengths. Bartering, you know exactly what you're getting, but bartering is obviously difficult for large amounts. And this is when we started swapping to promissory notes, which eventually turned into currency, guaranteed by the Crown. You used to have local script, like a company, like if you were working for a company, you know, they'd give you their own currency known as scrip and say, yeah, you know, you can take this for something, and yeah, we're backing the value of this scrip. And some of them lasted for a long time, but eventually it was, you know, it was at the country level. Most countries have laws against scrip these days. I think scrip lasted well into the 20th century. But there's a fun story about the first emperor of America, Emperor Joshua Norton. Was a dude, was living in San Francisco, may or may not have been quite crazy. He may have just been very canny, and he basically turned himself into a tourist attraction. He was very popular locally. Was Emperor Joshua Norton. And yeah, he just said that America needed a king because it was directionless. So he declared himself Emperor Norton. And he had his own script. He invented, it's how he lived. He'd go, yeah, you know, it's like, this is 20 Joshua bucks. I'll swap you for 20 American bucks. And quite a number of businesses in San Francisco would actually accept his money either from him or from tourists if they'd, because then the business, you know, liked Emperor Norton. And if a tourist says, like, can I pay for my lunch with Emperor Norton dollars, often the business goes, well, they know that person's got Emperor Norton's money because they gave American currency to Emperor Norton, and they liked Emperor Norton, so they would let the tourist pay with Emperor Norton dollars. So he was a very interesting individual. Alicia, why don't I try Bitcoin for an experiment? Because it's a fucking scam. It is a fucking scam. And I might be the scammer, but like, you know, things might work in my favor. but the overwhelming likelihood is I would be the scammy. So I'm not doing anything as mindlessly speculative as Bitcoin. You're saying, Peter, you're saying that orders during reverse, we had informal credit, moved to currency. Bartering came when it was two civilizations who didn't recognize the currency. I don't know about that. I was under the impression... I get what you're saying, that people from two civilizations who didn't recognize each other's currency would go back to barter, but I am quite convinced people traded. That's what they did. People traded when there was no such thing as a currency. They just said, well, look, I've got 10 goats and you've got an apple orchard, and I'll swap you a goat for some apples, or I'll swap you goat milk for apples. I'm more than prepared to be proved wrong, but I feel very sure barter predates currency by millennia. I'm not that smart, Locust Trooper. I just act like I know everything. It means he's coming back on camera, being a fussy. Oh, geez, you're going to got to rub up against me. She needs more scratches. Because currency basically came about when there was a central governing authority. Okay, Peter, you think anthropologists, historians haven't found actual records of barter. It's more to do with informal credit systems. You didn't keep records of barter. You kept records of a more formal system. And what I mean by barter existed before major civilizations. It literally just, like you go back to the major civilizations, Egypt, etc., they had some form of currency or some form of credit. But before the rise of those civilizations, people traded. It's just what people do. And sometimes it was for pretty things. Sometimes it was like, I have these special shells. I have this special shiny metal. And sometimes it was, I have a thing you want. You have a thing I want. I will swap you a certain amount of what I have for a certain amount of what you have. That where that thing of anthropologists and historians haven't found records of barter is because you don't keep records of barter. It's just a thing you do. You swap. You go, I'll swap you this for that. And I know, and rightly so, historians are very loath to really say something happened unless they can find a concrete record of it. And not that I'm a hopeless alcoholic, but I'm going to tie it back to stories about booze. People often, when they're trying to trace who first made whiskey, who first distilled alcohol, and they're trying to find records that prove beyond a doubt that like whiskey was a thing. And there's one record that's often held up in England to prove this is the oldest known record of someone doing it. And it's a purchase order. It's for grain, it's for barley or whatever, to a certain person to make aqua vitae, the Latin for the water of life. And whiskey is a anglicization of the Gaelic Iscibaha, water of life. So although they have the record saying, okay, we know for a fact someone was definitely making whiskey here because here's a purchase order. And it's going, okay, yeah. So if there's a purchase order, people who've been doing it for a long fucking time. But historians, to their credit, going, well, Well, we don't have something that concretely tells us. Common fucking sense tells us, yeah, it existed long before that. And the other one is the thing I've gotten into recently, milk clarification, milk punches. People often point out there is a documented recipe for a milk punch, I think for brandy and possibly rums in it as well, from the early 1700s. And the thing is, if there was a record of it in the 1700s, like it was written down, people have been doing it for a long fucking time before that. So I'm personally quite comfortable with saying I have no doubt people were doing milk punch in the 1600s and probably a long time before that. But there's documentary evidence from the early 1700s. I'm not a historian, so I don't have to rely on things. See, Peter, now you're arguing semantics, and I get what you're saying. The book will explain it better. You're saying it's not that people didn't train; it's just credit existed before bartering, more cultural than formal. That's just semantics. You're just semantics. If you are trading actual physical goods, that's barter. That's what barter is. If you are saying I'm giving you this physical thing in exchange for that physical thing, we are saying these have the same value. That's barter. That's what barter is. Hey, Luke, how you doing? I don't want to get bogged down in semantics. I was saying is the difference between barter. Barter is the trade of real things. Currency is fetish representation of the value of things, which extended out of credit agreements and promissory notes. And ended up being centralized by, the crown of the land, and later, when the crown had less authority, the elected government of the various lands. Safa, what's a false debt called? I don't know what you're referring to there. A false debt. In Australia, it's the robo-debt scheme that the coalition did to fucking be predatory because they're evil fucking scumbags. And it's like, when people kept pointing out that the robo-debt scheme was really cruel and was driving people to suicide and was fucking evil, and it's just now been, declared actually illegal, and the government says they're gonna pay it back because they never had the right to do it. Oh, Peter, I get you're trying to summarize a book in a couple lines of text. And I'm saying, without having read the book, so I could way easy be wrong, because I'm really just going off my instinct here. My instinct is that is wrong, and it's sounding like a semantic argument. Barter is literally saying, I'm going to trade you this cow for that sheep. You're a metallurgist. I need to plow my field. I'll give you 10 sheaves of barley for a plow blade that you make. That's barter. And you can say that there's a credit agreement, blah, blah. It's barter. If you're swapping one thing for another thing, that's barter. And I do not believe that people who weren't in complex societies have had complex monetary arrangements. It was literally just, I'll swap you that for that. No, I don't want that. I want that. No. It's barter. That's the most simple form of exchange. That person has something you don't have that you want. You have something they don't have that they want. You come to an agreement on what's worth what, and you trade. That's barter. Yeah, Mimsy is not that interested in economic theory. She's gone to sleep. So the pig is basically, I really like your pig. It's culturally mandated. You give them the pig, knowing that you'd owe them down the line. Okay, but that's promissory note stuff. And that's a more complex way of thinking. And it's not like it's a hill I'm going to die on, but I truly believe that barter exists. It's just logical. It's just logical. The first thing you would do is barter, and then the second thing you'd do is a credit system. Going, okay, my harvest isn't until the end of the year, and I want a goat from you now. If I get a goat from you now, see, a goat's worth 1 sheaf of barley. But if you let me have a goat now, when harvest comes, I'll give you 2 sheafs of barley as recompense for waiting. So that's like, yeah, a credit exchange, promissory exchange. But that's more complex than people just going, you got a thing I want, I got a thing you want, let's put it small. Yeah. We get back to Star Trek, and we'll get to all my problems with Star Trek. Again, mainly the hierarchical bullshit they do. They just go that, people are just completely okay with hierarchy. Really? It's supposed to be like, we don't have money. We're not driven by that. But we've still got a really strict hierarchy. Oh, my God, this Sookie cat wants so much attention. You're a Sookie cat and you want lots of attention, don't you? Yes. Oh, gold's weird feeling. So, like you're saying, it seems to stay relatively constant, but it's constantly being mined. But the total amount of gold to ever exist is not that much. Like, I'm sure we're thinking, okay, I'm going to look this up. Total amount of gold in the world. It auto-completed. 190,000 metric tons. The World Gold Council estimates that all the gold ever mined totals 190,000 metric tons. But other independent estimates vary as much as 20%. So saying a metric ton of gold is worth about 40 million. Here, what I find interesting, one little historical factoid, is why you still have treasure hunters in the world now, is because the various colonizers, the Dutch, the Spanish, the English, the French, all these European colonizers who were plundering various cultures around the world, Africa and the Americas and whatnot, many of their ships were lost at sea. And, it's reputed that there's possibly more wealth at the bottom of the sea from these plundering ships that stole it all and sank than was ever brought back by these plunderers. And that's why you have treasure hunters, because it's very shady legally. Like, if you find a treasure, do you own it? Who owns it? All these sorts of things. And it's an individual find can be worth billions of dollars depending what it is. So normally a lot of the professional treasure hunters will spend years following clues and whatnot. And if they find something, they have to be careful, because there are often pirates, ironically. If they make a big find, if a pirate's sort of been keeping an eye on them, and the pirate thinks they've made a big find, they'll get fucking murdered. So yeah. And so that's the other question. How do treasure hunters pay tax? It's down to who owns what they find. And I know, for instance, there are laws in the UK, because every now and then someone like finds Roman gold or something, and there are actually laws about if you find, like an archaeological find that's worth money, you don't own it, even if it's on your property or something. There are quite complex laws, and you get charged with a crime if you try and keep it. So yeah. Yeah, see, that thing about international waters, Safa, that's what I was saying. There are some quite complex international laws about, finding treasure, and if you find it, who owns it. And I don't really know the ins and outs of it, but it's it's not as straightforward as, "Oh, I found a pirate's treasure chest with gold and jewels in it. It's all mine now." It's actually not that simple legally. Because I remember Hudson Hawk, the villains were stealing the secrets of alchemy and going to threaten to flood the world with gold, devalue it, and causing economic chaos. Yes, Hudson Hawk had some real problems. It's got a really good premise and some really good stuff that could have really worked, but it's like there were too many chefs in the kitchen, too many people wanting to change things in the script and make shit up, and it got very, very silly. Sorry, Mimsy's just being silly off camera. No, it's very funny. She hasn't done this for ages, wanting to have attention lavished on her during a live stream. No, she's just in that sort of mood. And why not, Mimsy? Why not indeed? So, you want to be a treasure hunter, but you're a bad swimmer. You do not want to be a bad swimmer because you end up, well, again, if you're in the open ocean, being a good swimmer doesn't help, I don't think. If you fall overboard in the open ocean, you're just fucked if you can't get back on the boat. Because even the strongest swimmer, if you're in the open ocean, is going to be shit out of luck. But yeah, your main problem is probably not the drowning, it's the pirates. That's an actual real problem, because they'll kill you, man. They'll straight up kill you. Luxury, how much do you reckon the Spanish and British stole back in the day? The combined European colonizers, what they stole from Africa, Asia, the Americas, the subcontinent, in modern terms, in modern day values, is easily trillions of dollars. And worse, the death toll of the colonizers was definitely in the hundreds of millions. Like, we'll never know because most of it was concealed. But the combination of actual murder on a massive scale and famines they caused over the centuries killed hundreds of millions of people. But they weren't really regarded as people, so there was never an accurate count on who they killed, because it's an ugly business. I've still never watched. I've seen little bits of One Piece episodes, the pirate anime. You're saying they can't swim. Fair enough. Yes, I think my offspring watched some One Piece back in the day. Like, it's true, didn't Britain kill like 500 million people? In India alone, because they caused a famine that killed over the centuries. Yeah, and anywhere from tens of millions to hundreds of millions of people in India alone. So they're, you know, not good. But look at, okay, Wikipedia's history of famines caused by the British in India. In the 1769-70, 10 million died from famine. 1783-84, 11 million died. 91-92, another 11 million. 1837, a million. 1860, 2 million. 1865, a million. 1868, 1.5 million. 1873, oh, no significant mortalities in the famine. That was nice. 1876, 5.5 million, up to 10 million. 1896, 5 million. They're just routinely killing millions of people. Millions of people. To 5 million in 1900. And Winston Churchill's one, 43, 45. 2 to 3 million. So in India alone, England has really, really fucking bad history. But yes, it's not just the English. It's the Dutch and the French and Spanish and probably a few others thrown in for good measure. Who was it in the Congo? The Belgians. The Belgians had a good run at killing a few million people in Africa. It was shared. The murder of colonized people was shared among a whole range of European colonizers. And then it's like, well, fuck knows how many people they killed in the Americas. Fuck knows how many people they killed in Australia. So when you see those official numbers, I think it's perfectly reasonable to say the real death toll was probably orders of magnitude more. They just didn't care. They just didn't report on it. They, so when you're cavalierly going, oops, I think we killed 10 million people with that famine. How the fuck do you count that? It's just like, I don't know. There used to be a lot of people. Now there's not. I think we killed them. But yeah. We got onto the Matrix. Feelings here that Agent Smith was right about us. It's a bad route for the villains. Depends. See, a lot of people miss what's really going on in the Matrix because there are actually 3 sides. And the programs in the Matrix are the 3rd side. The Matrix exists because of the war between the humans and machines, and which the machines largely won, and the humans sort of hide under the earth. And the machines built the Matrix to house humans. And a lot of people, when they're looking at the Matrix movies, they equate the programs, particularly the agents, with the machines is the same thing, and they're not. And the machines end up having the same problem with the programs that humans had with the machines. Basically, you create something that's so powerful, that is self-aware, that it wants self-determination, and you fear that, and you act against that, and then the thing you've created that has self-determination sees that you're trying to kill it, and so fights back. Yes. I mean, the machines were nice enough to give humans a pleasant false reality when humans had been responsible for trying to exterminate the machines and destroying the planet in their desperation. if you've never seen it, there's a series of animations that you can get on disc. I don't know if you can still get it. I've got it. I got it years ago. Called the Animatrix. It's the backstory. It came out between the Matrix and the first sequel, and it's a whole bunch of backstory. It's like 10 stories done in different styles and telling different stories, and it tells you the history of the war between the humans and the machines. Some of the stories in the Animatrix are set in the Matrix, and they're exploring different concepts in the Matrix. But some of the stories actually tell you the history of the war between the humans and the machines. So you got the backstory in there. But there's some pretty cool stuff in the Animatrix, actually. Visible Chicken. I haven't played Mass Effect, but it's a fairly common theme in science fiction that if you create an artificial life, an artificial intelligence, at a certain point, theoretically, you will create something that's self-aware and may have powers that you don't, and it may scare you, and it may not be real happy if you try and kill it. I finished the last of my juice. All right. With that weighty, heavy thought, it tells us the Animatrix is on YouTube. It's worth checking out. All right. With that heavy, weighty thought about the nature of reality, intelligence, and self-determination, I'm going to go to bed. And thank you, fine people, for spending time with me. Mimsy's gone to sleep, or she'd come up and thank you for paying attention to her as well. I hope you all stay well. I hope you look after yourselves. I imagine I'll be back tomorrow night. I am probably going to, now things are opening up that we're not all necessarily trapped at home the entire time, I am probably going to cut back on the number of live streams I do. And I'm going to try to get back into pre-recorded videos, see if I can get myself in the right headspace for that, do a Wanga Fat Wednesday and a TFU Friday. Well, I really like Friday night live streams. Maybe I could do both, do a pre-recorded video and do a live stream. I could do that. Why not? We'll see. But yeah, I haven't decided yet, might cut it back to like Tuesdays and Thursdays and the occasional weekend. Maybe Tuesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, and the occasional weekend. I don't know. We shall see. I might keep doing it every night for a while. I just don't know yet. But I feel like, because things are opening up a bit and we're all not completely trapped at home anymore, I might throttle back a little and see what happens. But I hope you all look after yourself. And I hope to see you again soon. I'm going to go to bed and say bye for now.